Alright, so getting started here. After watching The Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, I saw a lot of the different kind of connections it had with personal identity. Um, so personal identity, it is a concept that everyone would kind of develops on their own about themselves. And this is created through like the experiences and everything you would have to go through in order to get you to that point. So different experiences for everyone has their different personal identities. A lot of the choices that you make play into the factor of your personal identity, but there are some aspects you cannot control about it, such as places like where you grew up, the color of your skin, and like different choices you make in your life will all play into that fact of what you become and what you think about yourself as your own personal identity. And then personal identity deals with a lot of philosophical questions that make people think about us and who we are and how we got here. Some questions that are included in that are, what am I? Like, when did I begin? What happened to me? What will happen to me when I die? The word self is often put in with personal identity then too. Self does not mean person, so person personal identity doesn't always go together the best. Self is kind of the immaterial subject of like how you think of consciousness, like yourself. So the movie or the film Eternal Sunshine on a Spotless Mind kind of starts off as these two people who are Joel and Clementine. They both kind of meet up in what is a series of kind of weird events. He finds her and talks to her on a train. Um, yeah, and then they both get together and they're kind of together and they go off and they're doing pretty happy until one night there is like a fight that occurs between them and she disappears and leaves and never to be heard from again for what he thought. In this movie, there actually is a procedure that they have done. It's where people are able to erase their thoughts and like memories towards a certain person. So if someone was in your life that you didn't like, they just kind of erased everything, all the memories that went along with them. Doing this process, they just had to grab everything in that person's life that had any sort of connection with this other person they're trying to forget about, and they scanned the brain and saw where they saw where the connections would light up and then like where all the memories would be stored within the brain. And then at night they would use this device to go into their brain and then delete those areas so the person is essentially gone from their memory. They have no recollection of them. Um, so the three characters that I kind of focused on in this were Joel, Clementine, and then Patrick. They all have some sort of relation into the whole connection with the deletion of the memory. Patrick actually works in the department, so he's in there with that way. So he's in the room, or in the bedroom, I should say, when the people are getting their memories deleted. And then, as I said before, Joel and Clementine were seeing each other. And then, so Patrick, he's kind of an interesting character. He sort of falls in love with Clementine as they're deleting her memories. And then a lot of the memories that she saw, or she went through, were like kind of shown to him, and he kept that going. So he used some of those memories that Joel used to get Clementine. He kind of used those memories to help himself get an edge and then meet up with Clementine. So Clementine was the girl that Joel was seeing, and then she had her memory deleted. Her connection with the personal identity, she doesn't actually really know herself so much. Because when someone is going to delete all of their personal memories and everything like that, they're deleting a part of themselves. Um, so his personal identity goes along with everything that you experience. So essentially, they are deleting a part of themselves. So they're not actually going to know themselves as well when they come out of the operation. After all that, Joel gets ends up getting the operation done also, but when he was doing it, he kind of experienced some grief and he was upset like that he was going through with it. He wanted to stop it. Um, as he was deleting some of his memories, he knew that Clementine, which kind of plays into before, was a huge part of all of his memories, and that played into his own personal identity. So, a lot of the connections they made him who he was, and then when she was gone, he didn't know who he was anymore. And going back over it, personal identity is a concept of how people think about themselves. Um, there's not always the most control over these choices either, like growing up, skin color, everything I mentioned before. And then the film Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, their personal identities were created through how they themselves thought or what experience they went through. And then once someone else thinks of themselves, like in Patrick's case, he thought he was using Joel's memories and Clementine's memories together to give himself an edge and make him into his position. So he was almost living his life through Joel. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you.